They think that A.J. Brown is just going to come in and just flip the culture. They think that he's just going to enact big change. I'm starting to look at A.J. Brown. I started to watch some film, Will, still. I just wanted to see, just in case I was bugging or something. I don't think A.J. Brown is elite, right? And not only is A.J. Brown not elite, when did Jalen Hurts turn into a guy?
That's the one right there.
When did Jalen Hurts turn into? Okay, so last year.
How rude of me. Just another day full of receipts. Lord Brunson back at you with the back at you, and I'm the best reporting on the Eagles. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, I got to say thank y'all, man, because y'all been doing what y'all supposed to do, getting ready for the playoffs, copping all the green stitch with the playoff green, looking real good, going with the Eagles jerseys. It's all live right now on the Print Champs. Get all your Hurt Season merch, exclusive merch. You know what I'm saying? We are the ones that provided the hat to AJ and Nick Sirianni. We don't ever want to get that confused because there's a lot of copycats out here. But make sure you tap in with the Print Champs and get your hat today. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. So, you know what I mean? Our coaches, man. This is what happens when you have the season that we had. 14 wins, 3 losses. People start to pick from your coaching tree. They start to pick from your coaching tree. Last year, people were interested in Jonathan Gannon. I guess they wanted to see if he could duplicate or be even better than what he was. And I hope so. And I hope for their sake that they got the answer that they wanted. You know what I mean? Take Jonathan Gannon at all costs. I ain't mad at it. I knew we would be looking for a new defensive coordinator after this season anyway. I don't want to be too negative about Jonathan Gannon because the season wasn't a wash for him. You know what I mean? I just think that he just didn't use certain players right. And I don't think Jonathan Gannon is one of those guys that can confidently adjust when it's time to adjust. And we're going to find that out in the postseason. So I don't want to write him off right now. We're going to find out if he brings it in the postseason or not. You know what I mean? This bye that we were able to get, it allows us to get some key guys back that help his scheme out a lot, like Avonte Maddox and guys of that nature. But you know what I mean? We're going to see. We're going to see if he mixes it up because you can't wait to the second half to adjust. You can't do that in the postseason. You got to come out there and you got to play the kill from the snap one. You know what I mean? You got to attack weaknesses of the offense from snap one, whether it be somebody on the offensive line, whether it be them not being able to run the ball, you know what I mean? Whether it be them not being scary in the passing game. We're going to talk about the 4 potential matchups, you know what I mean, in ways that Jonathan Gannon can attack and in ways that Shane Steichen can attack because Shane Steichen is another coordinator of ours that's getting a lot of attention on the open coach market. You know what I mean? The Texans actually are looking to get Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen. You know, that's smart by the Texans because why not bring in 2 guys that's familiar, you know, as an offensive coordinator and as a defensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? You definitely can bring in Jonathan Gannon as a head coach. You could bring in Shane Steichen as, you know, an offensive coordinator, and then Jonathan Gannon will be able to pick from, you know, Jonathan Gannon might still run the defense. Who knows what happens over there? But if Jonathan Gannon goes, I'm not losing no sleep. Shane Steichen, on the other hand, has, you know, had a big hand in revolutionizing the way that our offense moves. You know what I mean? He's been the guy around around Jalen Hurts and making sure things happen the way it's supposed to happen. Shane Steichen, in my opinion, is borderline brilliant. You know what I mean? In terms of, you know, taking a quarterback who had issues, working with him while he's developing, and implementing a game plan that helps everybody eat. Think about the offense. A record was broken in the passing game. You know what I'm saying? A record was broken in the passing game by A.J. Brown. Most receiving yards of all time by Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver for a season. Devontae Smith broke the, you know, reception record for Eagles wide receiver. He's a second-year player. A.J. Brown, 25. You know what I mean? Jalen Hurts was putting up astronomical numbers in the run game. We were just one of the best teams in the National Football League on 4th and short. Shane Steichen and the RPO and putting Jalen Hurts' strengths on display was one of the reasons why Jalen Hurts is, you know what I mean, a top 4 quarterback in the league, especially according to, you know, MVP odds. It's only Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Jalen Hurts. Then everybody else is a skill player for the most part. It goes down to the Justin Jeffersons of the world and guys of that nature. So, you know, Shane Steichen would be much more of a blow You know what I mean? But there's some coaches out there that you could get. You know what I mean? We got to start looking around at some of these head coaches that might be fired. Cliff Kingsbury, you know what I mean? I'm not really sure if I want Cliff Kingsbury. You know what I mean? But, I would look at him as a coordinator. He won't be an offensive guy. It's going to be options for us. It's going to be options for us, man. We got guys in-house right now, you know what I mean, that's kind of, grooming themselves or around as defensive consultants that could probably take over for Jonathan Gannon. I would look at Jim Schwartz and see what Jim Schwartz is doing, if you want me to be honest, because with the way this pass rush is set up, I think Jim Schwartz would have feasted. A lot of people didn't like Jim Schwartz. I didn't like Jim Schwartz because Jim Schwartz, he wouldn't adjust either to a degree. Jim Schwartz would still play a lot of man coverage when you don't have the cornerbacks to play man coverage. Jim Schwartz was slaying Bradbury in that front. This defense would, man, I'm telling you, we'd have clinched weeks ago. You know what I mean? Listen, but you can't be mad at 14-3. But it is what it is. Some of the opponents that the Philadelphia Eagles could potentially be facing, it ranges from the Dallas Cowboys, the Seattle Seahawks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the New York Football Giants. You can't wait too long to adjust against the Buccaneers if you're that's the worst matchup for me in terms of matchups, man. If you're Jonathan Gannon, you're losing sleep over how the defense was carved up against the Buccaneers in the playoffs last night, and you really don't want to see Tom Brady again, because all Tom Brady got to do is play the film of what he did to you last year in the postseason. You're going to be zone heavy because you're afraid of Tom Brady, and this is how I think Jonathan Gannon approaches these type of games. Now, if you get the Seahawks, you could fall into that same trap. Because they got a Tyler Lockett, they got a DK Metcalf, you could fall into a zone-heavy trap. But I think we match up, good against their offensive weapons. DK Metcalf is a physical specimen, but on the flip side of that, I think that, James Bradbury can hang with DK, and Darius Slay can kind of hang with Tyler Lockett. The Giants, you got to be able to go for the kill if it's the Giants that you're going to be playing. You got to be able to go for the juggler. You got to, man. You got to be able to go for the juggler. They don't have any vertical threats. You just got to shut down Saquon Barkley, and you got to get to Daniel Jones. We've proved we can do that already. The Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott didn't have a ball touch the damn ground against Jonathan Gannon, on Christmas Eve. So guys that are good, with vertical threats, Jonathan Gannon likes to play zone. And he likes to rely on guys that make plays in zone. But the problem with this is Tom Brady is 45 years old, won over 30 playoff games, been in 10 Super Bowls, won 7 out of the 10. He's seen every coverage that you could possibly see in life. You got to mix it up against Tom Brady. Dak Prescott, a 7-year vet, almost seen every coverage that you could see in life. You got to mix it up against a guy like Dak Prescott. You see what I'm saying? Even Geno Smith. Geno Smith is not having a bad year. Geno Smith got weapons to some degree. You got to mix it up because you got to still respect the running ability of those guys, and you got to still respect the passing ability of Geno Smith, who's been really, really accurate this year. The Giants is the only matchup where I feel like you can play one way and beat these guys because you got the talent. This is the playoffs now, man. You got to be able to adjust by series if you Jonathan Gannon. You got to. Shane Steichen, I didn't really see anything bad out of Shane Steichen in the offensive play calling. Well, the play calling, sometimes when we abandon the run, I really don't like that aspect of it. But for the most part, Shane Steichen and Jalen Hurts have been combining to keep the chains moving a lot. So I'm not really worried. I'm not really mad about, those two guys in the offense. As long as Jalen Hurts is there, you will get in the red zone. You will be able to put up points. But Jonathan Gannon scares me, especially with the 4 potential guys that we might be playing. I think Jonathan Gannon needs to really have his most complete defensive game of his life for the next 3 games the Philadelphia Eagles play if we're going to win it all. Let me know what y'all think in the comments.